All right, welcome. I have two of my favorite people in the world on episode two of Hopeful Conversations. These two people know me very, very well. This is the love edition. It's February, y'all. So we talking about love. Having a candid talk with this husband and wife, my dear friends, Lou and Steph, on love and growth. Welcome to their soap channel.
Thanks, Rich. Appreciate it, bro. Excited to be on your channel and be talking about love and growth and just to be talking with you probably more than anything. That's always it's always a fun conversation. So
Absolutely, absolutely, Steph.
I feel special. I was like, this is our first podcast. So man, we really appreciate this. This is definitely an honor to be able to kind of serve in this way for the world, and to be able to support you too and what you're doing, what God is doing in you.
Absolutely, absolutely. So, like I said, I've known y'all for some time since 2000. I've known Steph a little bit before '09, but I met Lou in 2009. But this is about y'all. This is about y'all's story. So I just kind of want you to tell us a little bit about you two, where you from. Yeah, just share a little bit about yourself.
okay, so he's you're referring to me as Lou. A lot of people have no idea. My name
Oh,
is no, that's fine. So my name is Joshua, and I live here in Central Florida, 39, and obviously a husband, a father. I am a Christian, so I'm a disciple as well. I've lived here in Florida since 1993. I was originally born in Baltimore, Maryland, and then my family relocated to Jacksonville, Florida, where I lived there, and most of my formative years, my teenage years, and stuff like that. Was in Jacksonville. So from 1993 to about 2004, and then relocated to the Central Florida area around like 2009. And yeah, man, like I said, I'm a believer. I'm a man. Uh, I work in the medical sales industry. Been doing that now for close to 10 years, which is crazy. I'm super excited about just this year of my life because I'll be turning 40 this year. So this is a real dope year for me. Yeah, yeah, it's kind of crazy. Um, Three children, a daughter who is 20, and two sons who are 9 and 6.
Yes,
9 and 6. um, yeah, so that's just kind of a flyover of my life and who I am.
yeah. Thanks for sharing that, Steph. Tell us a little bit about you.
Yeah, I'll be turning 40 this year too, so it's big things, something to definitely be excited about. But my parents were military, so originally I was born in Texas, Fort Hood.
I had
Killeen. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, I came here when I was very young, in Florida, Central Florida, 88. So I was practically raised here, aka country bumpkin. But yeah. Mother, mother of three, served in several capacities in our local church. I love doing hair. It's what I do for a living. Um, Supportive of my children and wonderful husband. But I do locks as my profession. I love doing locks, love doing hair. Something that I've discovered that I like doing some years back. I also love gardening. I have a green thumb. I love putting my hands in the soil, getting dirty, rehabbing things, and kind of bringing them back to life. Love spending time with my children, family, and friends, and serving in my local church. So, yeah.
absolutely. It's crazy because we had these conversations. We've known each other all this time. I did not know you were born in Texas.
Yes.
Oh yeah.
But yeah, so let's kind of jump into the conversation. tell the people how y'all met. You can answer it, he can answer it, or one or the other, however you want to do it. Tell us how you met and what drew you to each other. Tell your story.
You go ahead. Yeah, because this is.
You be liking the shine.
Yeah, so we look at each other just because we jokingly have two different narratives about how we met. We know we both agree on the time and the place and all of that, but the narrative around it, it differs. But I'm gonna let you kick it off.
Honestly, we tell people that we met at the church, but we really did not meet at the church.
Where did we meet at?
We met at the local community college.
I already knew who you were when you were going up there. I was going to the church, and you were giving me a ride because I didn't have no car, but I already knew you.
I thought it was before you came.
See, we don't know how we met, but no, go ahead. Okay, what we both agree on is we met in church. We met in church. And Rich, the church, small little church in the woods. It's so unassuming in the country, and I was incarcerated for a while, and there's work release, which is basically a program where you can kind of go into the civilian world, have a job, go to church and stuff like that, but you got to report back by a certain time. And so this was 2000 and late 2008.
Yeah, 8, 9,
yeah. Early 2009.
Correct.
And so I was just going to church. The Lord had saved me when I was locked up. And I was going to church. I was getting ready to come home, and my intent originally was to go back to Jacksonville, which is where I grew up, where I caught my charge, all of that. And then I started going to this small little church in a small little country city. In the sticks. Dirt roads to get there. As a black man, you would think it's not a place that you want to be by yourself at night or maybe any other time of day. But it was a really dope just community of people back there who loved Jesus, and Steph was one of them. And you were one of them because that's where I met you as well. And yeah, so going to church, and man, I was so laser focused on Jesus that I wasn't really thinking about like a wife or a girlfriend or anything like that. But and
which is what drew me to you. One of the things that drew me to you too.
Yeah, and likewise, and likewise, because your boy, I'm like fine wine. So if I look this good, just imagine how I looked 15 years ago. You know what I'm saying? And
so was second. Okay, go ahead.
So again,
your physique is.
Yeah. And so there was definitely like, I don't know, not to sound like arrogant, buzzing in terms of young ladies who wanted my attention and wanted me to engage with them. But Steph was like the one that was like, boy, I ain't worried about you. and similarly, it wasn't like, girl, I ain't worried about you, but I was so focused on just trying to get my feet underneath me in the Lord and understand what it meant to be a disciple of the Lord in a different context outside of prison, that I was, for the first year and some change, I was like just really just kind of dialed in on that. And so Steph and I kind of served alongside each other for maybe a whole year before we even kind of like entertain each other like relationally or romantically or anything like that.
So when along that line of that year did y'all decide, like, what sparked that conversation or say that forward progress to consider something more romantic, something more serious?
I think really watching you from afar off, just like your relationship with the Lord and just how focused you were. I really didn't have nobody to really pursue me that was so God-centered and God-focused. So Josh like stood out. He was so different. Like he was super hyper-focused. I think you asked me for my number. And I was like, you in a relationship already. Oh, you got somebody already.
Yeah.
Somebody who gives attention to you. You don't want to talk about that. But yes, so
I brought a girl to church one time, and that was it was a thing. um,
And you
yeah,
asked me for my number, and I think we were talking over the phone.
yeah.
And then we would kind of like show up at one of the family's house. Anthony.
Oh yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah, yeah.
So
At the time.
so okay, all right. So I'll distill it down. So after about a year, of us just kind of serving, and you know how church people is, they be wanting to put people together, and so like
And a love match. Love match.
yeah, they people was trying to put us together for a while. People who we still love and are in relationship with to this day. They'll do stuff like, "So, brother Joshua, how old are you? Single, right? Sister Stephanie, how old are you? You interesting," in front of both of us. And so, like, we knew that people were trying to like gravitate us toward each other. But I really, what like Steph said, one of the things that just drew me to her was like she wasn't with that as similarly as I wasn't with it at that time. And I don't know, it's like it just felt like when it was that time of that season, it was just like we, at least for me, it was like, oh snap, this girl is once she hit my radar and that switch was kind of flipped in my mind. I was so dialed in on like getting her that probably for another 6 months after that, I was pursuing her. And she was still on the same, like, nah, she was still on the energy of like, nah, bro, I'm good. And it was so frustrating and so maddening and so angering because I'm like, girl, you about to miss your blessing. You don't see me? You about to miss your blessing. So it
So
was a good 6 months of me like asking her to go on dates.
okay.
We had a mutual friend that lived around the corner from where I was staying at the time.
Mhm.
And I had put a word in like,
a meeting place.
hey, whenever she comes over y'all house, let me know. Because I'm gonna come over. And I would just coincidentally
Show up.
always be popping up when she was there, like, hey, you here? Dang, that's crazy. I'm always snatching. And so it was out like a good 6 months, after, she was someone who I really had locked in on that I was like really pursuing her. And I didn't like it at the time, but I'm glad that she was like, kind of stiff on me a little bit in resisting. But,
You finally
13 years later, I win.
Yeah, I mean, and and his pursuit was just really consistent. I mean, everything that he did was consistent, so that was very attractive.
Mm.
Because I had no other guy really pursued me like that. That really loved God, and that was something that really truly stuck out. I was like, this brother is really consistent. I was like, let me continue to watch and observe. So yeah, yeah.
so
Yeah.
y'all decide to get in a relationship, get engaged, and get
Say that again.
so y'all decided to get in a relationship, make it official, get engaged, and then get married, right?
Yes.
Yeah, yeah.
What were some things that you took from the earlier years to help like build your connection with one another in the early parts of your marriage?
Oh, that's a good question. Well, okay, so I'll say this. That timeline of like getting in a relationship, getting engaged, getting married wasn't seamless and like serene. There were a lot of ups and downs in that. Even like during our dating process, I think we broke up at least twice. She broke up with me. She broke up with me one time so hard. She broke up with me one time so hard. I remember.
Tell the story.
No, this
Tell
is
the
dead
story.
serious. Dead serious. She broke up with me one time so hard, and justifiably so. Like I came from a lot of like family trauma growing up. So even as a Christian, right? Like you love Jesus, you're striving to, you know, do all the things, be exactly who you feel God has called you to be, live right, all that stuff, right?
Mm-hmm.
That doesn't wipe away 10, 20 years of like childhood trauma, rejection, abandonment, insecurity, all these things that I was dealing with. And so now, as my first real, it's kind of crazy to even say this out loud too, as like my first real, yeah, intimate relationship as a Christian. Like Steph was saying, like she had never had a dude like pursue her like that.
Yeah.
I had never pursued a woman the way that I did with her. And then now that I'm in this relationship and I have this new heart and this renewed mind and all of that, it's like I'm like a baby trying to figure out kind of how to walk again in a different way.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And so there were a lot of ups and downs from moments that I mismanaged, things that I think that she was still trying to figure out as a single mom. And like, can I trust this dude? Should I bring this dude around my daughter?
Absolutely.
You know, and so like even that dating process and the engagement, I think once we got engaged, it was smoother. But while we were dating, it was kind of tough.
Yeah,
At
it,
least
it,
for
it
me.
was some ups and downs, like when we were dating, but we were able to work through it. But he broke up with me. You didn't tell him about the cat. So he broke up with me.
We broke up
We
with
broke
each
up
other.
with each other.
So not so many times, but
No, like at least a couple times. We broke up with me. I bought the shoes
yeah, you was trying to get back. You
to
trying
get back with him.
Mm-mm.
Then I got the cat when I broke up with you.
So okay. So she broke up with me so hard one time. I used to work at this bookstore. When I tell you, pain will drive you to Jesus. She broke up with me one time, and it felt so crappy that I remember I was at work and I was like, customers would come in because I was at a bookstore and it was basically, like customer service work. Customers would come in, I'll help them a little bit, and then I'll go in the back and just be boo crying all day. And like, God be my friend, I need you, Jesus. And it was like it went from it revealed a lot, to me in terms of like how much I still needed to grow and all of that. And I think that was the same breakup where I got a cat.
It is. It was.
Because I just replaced her with a cat. I was like, you know what?
It did not go well.
These females ain't no good. These females, you can't trust them. I went and got a cat. I went and I had my own place and I got a cat and that cat became my girlfriend. And me and that cat rocked out. We didn't have a long relationship because that's when I found that I was allergic to cats. And so I woke up one morning and my eyes was just puffy. And I'm like, you know what? Don't nobody treat me right. You know what I'm saying? This woman is broken up with me. This cat is causing, anaphylaxis in my life. And I'm like, don't nobody love me, And so at that point.
That was the first breakup, right?
I don't know.
Yeah,
That was the worst one. I don't know if it was the first one, but it was the worst one.
You had your mind made up the second time.
Oh yeah, I was done with you.
The shoes.
I was done with you.
He can't. You ain't done with me yet.
I was then.
You weren't done with me yet.
What did you do? What did you do?
I saw that you were serious about it.
No, I was serious.
Oh wow, he ain't pursuing me no more.
I was serious. I was done.
I really like this dude, but like, yeah, you doing too much, bro. So like, I bought a pair of shoes. I don't even remember what type of shoes that was.
I remember anyway. It was Reeboks. There was the Reebok Springs. They was green and black, and you knew I liked them.
Okay,
I liked them.
I did know that.
You brought them over there to my house as like a little peace offering. I was like, man.
But it didn't. Hey, the
it
worked. Didn't last long. It worked.
So okay, if I could say this, like, so in terms of like the stuff, like, and hindsight is like I can see that you were working through maybe if you could trust me or if you wanted to let yourself go, and that registered to me at that time is just like, yo, rejection, like, yo, you suck, she don't like you, you trash, and that was hard for me to deal with. And I would do things. I was like, Stephanie, I love you, and she was like, okay. Dead serious.
Telling the truth.
I'm not lying.
You're telling the truth.
I'm not lying. I'm like, yo, it's so like, I'm like, Stephanie, I love you. okay. Wrecking me, bruh.
Wow.
Wrecking. I would kiss her, and she was like, she wouldn't kiss me back. I just be kissing. She was like, I'm like, yo, I don't know. But then she was like, yo, I do want you. I do. I like, yo, this girl is messing with my head. This girl's messing with my head.
What was going on, Steph?
Yeah, what
I
was
think
going
trust.
on?
I think just really trying to. I mean, it was a new lane as far as getting in a relationship with somebody that was I'm saved, he's saved, trying to do it the right way. And I think more so just trust, just me like really trusting another a guy with my heart again, and then really like I think just feeling really guarded, just from past relationships with like her, and then now I have a daughter. Can this person be trusted? Can he be trusted around my daughter? Because I didn't date. I went on one date when I got saved, and it was a hot mess. But I didn't date because I um being a single mom, I was really overprotective about, who I would allow, in my space. I didn't expose people to my daughter. That was very important to me. And so, I was a little, unsure, like, can he be trusted? I'm like, he been to prison, just these are
No,
honest
yeah,
things that
yeah,
I've
yeah.
had conversations with myself that we talked about,
Yeah.
and so it was just those uncertainties and some past, hurtful relationships that kind of had me guarded, so I was like, let me watch, let me observe. I'm one of those people that I see more than I say, so I was like, I want to know, like, he's legit, can be trusted, can I love him? I came from a background where the women in my family, a lot of them, they came from broken homes, they were never married, they had multiple men, so, and I didn't want to be that individual. I wanted to be one that kind of defied all the odds. And so I wanted something different, And so there was a wrestle within my own heart and with my own emotions, like, moments where I felt, okay, I'm ready. I want to make that step. And then fear just kind of gripped me back and like, I don't know, I don't know. So yeah. So it was all of that in a moment. It was all of that. I was
Yeah.
wrestling emotionally.
It's interesting, like I said, because I've known y'all all this time, and some of these pieces I've never known, but it's so sweet to hear. But it sounds like during that time, those challenges, those ups and downs, was building y'all connection, even when it didn't really seem like it was building that trust. Because you talked about
Yes.
Yeah.
him coming to you with the cat, you going to him with the sneakers. It was almost like it was showing y'all heart, even though there was
Yeah.
growth happened. It was revealing, like, hey, man, we really do care about each other.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure.
But we're working through some things.
Yeah, no, 100%.
Absolutely.
I think it gave substance to kind of what we both wanted, but we both were trialing out with ourselves. Is this something that I can do? You know, for Steph, and I understood what for as much as I could what it meant to be a single mom and to be protective. At the same time, no one likes to feel rejected or unwanted, and so like I'm managing that. And so, but I think it gave substance to what we were trying to pursue together.
Mm-hmm.
And now they just kind of cool stories to be able to kind of look back on and reflect on, and to think about, which I'm sure we'll get to, like how far we've come, you know 13, going on 13, 14, 15 years later now,
Mm-hmm.
from that dating process. And so, yeah, man.
Yeah, you
It gave
talk.
us the opportunity to really check in with ourselves too. Like the times that we, were together, we had fun together. We
Mhm.
had fun together. We worked in the ministry with the youth together. Josh was a Christian rap artist, so I used to be able to see him outside of the kind of like the church world. See him in a light with something that he was really confident in, something that was just dear to his heart, the music and everything. How he transitioned from the world to God, and just to see him in that arena, it just made us like be able to check in with ourselves. Like once we had the disagreements, we we broke up with one another. But then when you go back home, it's like, man, I really do care about this dude. Like
Mhm.
he has these issues, but it's something like beyond potential. Like I really care about him. I love him. I see his pursuit for God, which is one of the most attractive things. Outside of his nice physique. He was bigger than this when I met him. But like it really it just really did something for me. It helped me to sit with myself and be like, Stephanie, you do have some issues, some things, but you can work through those. Y'all can work through those. So like, and I don't know, I think I was saying, like, people were saying, oh, we're dating. I feel like we was courting because I feel like you were mine. I feel like you were mine.
Period.
Okay.
Like, I just, to be honest with you, I didn't see no one outside of Josh. Even though we broke up twice, like I didn't see anyone outside of Josh. Like, we got to work this out. Like, I don't know. That's just where I was. Because I wasn't one of those people that like, okay, oh well, you ain't worked, so I'm going to the next person. I was never that type of female.
Mm-hmm.
So.
And one more thing before we move on, I think in terms of like the question that you asked, if I remember correctly, in terms of like how the dating period helped us in our marriage, I think, and it's been consistent, honestly, like since the entire time that we've known each other, whether it was dating or engaged or married. It's like, yo, even when we argue and fight, like we never destroyed one another. So even when we were dating and we broke up, it wasn't like, oh, you,
Yeah.
like I didn't just like go scorched earth on her. Like I was hurt.
Right.
I would express that. I was mad. I would express that. Disappointed. Express that. But then there wasn't ever a point where it's like, yo, we at each other neck, we tearing each other down. Your breath stink, da 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 da.
Mm-hmm.
And she never did that for me to me either. And I think that is something that was like really good foundational work for like even when married. Now this year will be 13 years of us being married. We dated for like 2 years. Between the dating and the engagement, it was 2 years. So we got like 15 years of relationship.
Yeah.
And not once that I can recall, and you can definitely correct me if I'm wrong, like have we ever like gone for each other's jugular in a moment of like, now we've had heated disagreements, heated arguments, but we've never just like gone for the jugular, even in those moments. I credit that mostly to our pursuit of God individually. But even in moments of like whether you're dating or married, like there could be some things that can push you to like, I just want to throw you through a wall.
Yeah.
And I felt that. I wanted, but that's never fleshed itself out like in words. She's never done that to me, emasculated me, gone after my, anything. And that's something that started in dating, even when we broke up. Like, yo, we'll both be hurt, be mad. I'm buying a cat, bump you. You know what I'm saying?
Go back your way.
She hurt, mad. She like, well, I'm gonna do some shoes. It's like a peace offering. What can we doing? And so I think that's something that is just kind of thankfully like translated throughout our dating, even into marriage.
Yeah, you kind of answered the next question I was going into about how faith has guided y'all in the marriage. It sounds like, well, it doesn't sound like, I know for sure you're saying that faith has been that centerpiece for you all from the dating point to even today, to being in your marriage. So with that being said, how do y'all keep this spark alive? You said y'all this year's going to be 13 years officially married. Congratulations on that. How are you keeping that spark alive in your marriage on year 13?
I mean, couple things. We like to have sex with one another.
Mm-hmm.
That's one, and
Amen.
so we do that as often as we possibly can, regularly. But even with that, like, and this is something I think we both had to grow into, maybe more so than me. Like that don't mean like we rabbits around here. Like sometimes there's planned moments of intimacy. Maybe intimacy is on the schedule because we got a whole world that we live in, and in terms of serving at our church, our children, business, work, all that type of stuff. I think that we're pretty intentional about dating each other. There was a season where we weren't very good about that, but over the last 3 years or so, we've been trying to be like more intentional about, hey, we need to spend time with one another more. We need to
more
date.
honest conversations.
Yeah.
More honest conversations about dating and making sure we check in. I think that's something we just recently spoke about, like checking in with one another, like, hey, you good? You all right? And so more honest conversations, and getting God in, because we do pray together every morning. Before we leave or on our drive, I'm like, babe, let's pray, or he'll say, hey, let's pray. So like really like inviting God into our intimacy with one another is so vital. It is so vital. I know it may sound weird, but
no, it doesn't. No,
but I think a few times, like we prayed after having sex one time, like, Lord, we thank you for this.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, we actually prayed after being intimate.
Yeah, I mean the Bible, I believe it's
hey,
in Hebrews, it says everything is naked before him, before whom we have to do. And that's really talking about all the affairs of our life, right? But I'm like, yo, God, like I'm butt naked. You see, God, you see me here with this, whatever. And like, so there have been moments where it's like, yo, we invite God into that space. Even into our physical intimacy space. Not like we speaking in tongues while we making love, but there have legit been moments where it's like after being intimate, like I feel a grateful spirit towards God, like God, that was so good. God, I thank you. I thank you, God. I thank you. Real talk. But I think even like more practically, like we do have honest conversations with each other because
pillow talk.
We pillow talk. I think we've gotten better, not perfected, but gotten better at communicating our expectations. And so, at least for me, like I can have nothing frustrates you more than unmet expectations, and nothing is more unfair to the person that you're with uncommunicated expectations. And so I think, do a decent job. We're still very much a work in progress, but like communicating with each other about, hey, this is kind of what I want in this season, or this is what I'm looking for, vice versa. Because that spark isn't always something that's like physical. It can be intellectual. It can be emotional. It can be, spiritual. Thank you. Spiritual. And so we try to meet each other's needs in multiple ways. And so, just a level of intentionality, I think, between both of us helps to keep the spark alive.
Okay.
And understanding one another too.
Yeah.
Okay. Let's dive a little bit deeper. So we're all in this world. We're hearing conversations all around us about who's the head, and I'm a provider, and this and this and that. I won't lock y'all into a specific question, but kind of talk to the world about how marriage works in terms of dynamics and how important it is to find unity in the union versus saying you do this and you do that, and if you don't do this, then I won't do this, and if you don't do that, then I won't, and so on and so on. Kind of talk to the people about that.
So that's a really good question, and it's one that has like real relevance in our marriage. And so I came into our marriage kind of like with, I would say, rigid. Maybe rigid is too hard, but I'll just say rigid, like idea of gender roles. I'm the man. I provide the steak, potatoes. I take out the trash. I kill the bugs, so forth. You cook, you clean, you do the child rearing and stuff like that. Now, mind you, I didn't grow up in a two-parent household, so I didn't really have a model to kind of take away from. These are just like maybe from a more traditional perspective. That's how I thought about it. And so for the first few years, I think I did like subconsciously operate from that place. I'm thankful that Steph is kind of like a traditional woman, so it didn't cause a whole. At least I didn't think it like cause a whole lot of rub between us in terms of maybe like traditional roles of of her doing the cooking, the cleaning, stuff like that, and me doing the more manly cutting the grass and stuff like that. But there is a moment, and I've said this before. You'll know this. There was a moment where I was really challenged, and it was kind of like it was the catalyst for me kind of evolving in that way. Where you remember the couch? I'm gonna talk about the thread on the couch.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
I remember.
And so we were. This is when we just had.
You were really heated about that.
I was. But it was that was like an eye opening moment for me though.
Gotcha.
You heard me say this before.
Yeah, it's not new information.
And so this when we had our first son together, and that opened my eyes because I was like, yo, not that I ever, I think, consciously thought little of like being a stay-at-home mom and da da da. But when I seen all that was involved in that, I was like, yo, this is a job. And yeah, I like so I wanted to be more supportive of Steph as I seen how much energy and effort it took for her to be able to take care of our son at home. And so one particular instance, we had this couch, we had it for not this couch, but we had a couch. This was like, I don't know, 10 years ago, 9 years ago. And the button came off the couch, or like there was a hole in the couch or something like that. And like it was starting to tear. And I noticed it on week one, and I was like, oh, there is a hole in this couch, and it's starting to tear. And in my mind, I was like, Steph should do something about it.
It was a whole situation.
No, it was a situation.
I was like, wow.
And so week two goes by. The hole is bigger. My frustration is growing.
Wow.
You don't see this hole. This is your job. Why are you not addressing? Why haven't you gotten out the knitting kit, the sewing kit? Yeah, I'm like, yo, turn into Dr. Quinn, medicine woman. Like, why haven't you fixed? This is your thing. Week three goes by. I'm super frustrated because now I'm just like, how long is this? I ain't even gonna touch it. How long is this hole gonna be right here? And then it turned into a thing with us where we had to have it became a conversation about roles and who's doing what. And eventually, like, I think I got like a needle and thread and like sewed it up spitefully to like prove a point. Like, but since you ain't gonna do it, like this is what you should be doing. And that was a whole thing between us. It was a whole conversation. It was a thing because it became bigger than that. It was like, okay, well, what do you expect for me to be doing? And so that once again was around the same season where we had our son Julian. And it was through that and a few other occasions where I like began to just be challenged and wrestle with like, yo, the job whose job it is to do a particular task, regardless of what it may be, is the responsibility of the person that is available to do the task. So whether that is washing dishes, cooking, folding clothes, which I still hate to this day, washing clothes, which I don't mind doing at all, cutting grass, whatever, going grocery shopping, putting the groceries up. And so it was from that place, I was like, man, and then we had our son. I said, well, let me cook a little bit more because she's kind of saddled with that responsibility. Lo and behold, I love cooking. Then now I'm like, I cook. I think we both kind of split cooking 50-50. But there's no like communication of like, this is your job, this is your job. It's like, hey, I think maybe men may struggle with this maybe a little bit more just from kind of the conversation, the grander conversations in the culture. Um, but and there's not like a one size fits all, so I won't like put this on all men that this should be the model for their life and their relationships. But I think that it is a healthy approach to be complementary in all things concerning the house, child raising, um, certain duties where it's like, hey, I don't mind washing clothes at all. Steph know I hate folding clothes though. So I'll wash the clothes and it'll just be a big pile of clothes and they won't get folded if she don't fold them. And then there are days where, you know, um, she made something that, something that she is not able to do, whether it's cooking or helping the boys with homework or whatever. They're like, yo, I'll do. There are days where she'll beat me to taking the trash out, and so it's not. Now I do feel as a man there are certain things that that are within the realm of like my strength, my role, my identity, right? If something go bump in the night, I'm not going to look like it's your turn to get out the bed. You know what I'm saying? Like, nah, I'm grabbing that 40 and then whatever it is, got to come see me. And so it doesn't mean like there is no defined roles, but there is a measure of complementarianism between us where it's like, yo, whatever needs to be done and who's ever available to do it, whoever has the bandwidth to do it, that's the person that should do it.
And that's the key word, complimentary, because like Josh can pull the trash or I can pull the trash, and then like one of us know that it's been pulled, we put a bag in it. It's not like, hey, why you ain't pull out the trash? It need to be done. Like, no, we compliment each other well. And one of the things that I do love about Josh is like it's always like, how can I help? How can I help? Because we do see that in our culture a lot of the times. It's like, either things just won't get done. They'll just be left nasty, undone, or whatever like that. Or the assumption is the woman is supposed to do all the work, all of the domesticated, stuff. Like the woman's supposed to take care of that. The man's supposed to go out and work, work, work. When he come home, make sure dinner is ready and all that stuff. The kids are bathed and homework is done and they're in the bed. But like Josh does a great job with just like, hey, babe, how can I help? How can I do this? How can I do that? And then just a complimentary piece from the both of us, like, the trash, the dishes. Like, I don't have an issue with putting the groceries away. He doing the grocery shopping. So, like, that's the win. Like, he washes the clothes well. I fold well. That's a win. Like we don't have those, arguments in between. Like we work together and we remind each other from time to time, because sometimes like we get busy in our day to day jobs, at work and everything. It's like I know I haven't done this. Like no, this is a partnership. We do this together.
Mm-hmm.
So,
and I'll say two things too. So, one, this is for the ladies out there. Just in terms of using the power that women have wisely. I always tell my wife this, yeah, like yo, and I tell her this because she's so wise in the way that she wields her power. I tell her like, yo, this your house, man. I just live in it. This your house, like, baby. A lot of the things that I think about, that I work towards, that I put energy towards, all that. It is to provide for her. It is to provide for my children. But I feel so inclined to do that because of the wisdom that she operates in. And so, once again, this is a little nugget for the ladies. Like, she'll do things like this. And I've joked with you about this before because you be trying to play me. The bathroom needs to be clean. She already know because she be doing this. She do this joke all the time. Baby, can you clean the tub? Because don't nobody clean the tub like you, baby. Your elbow grease. Oh God, when you so strong. Don't nobody get that. Oh, I love your strength. When I clean it don't even be right. When you do it, it just be. Now I know she playing me, but the game's so smooth. What I'm supposed to say? Nah, I'm weak. I'm weak. I'm flaccid. I don't clean it. what I'm supposed? She done put me in the corner against my own strength.
Mm-hmm.
Now I got to come through. Now I got to. You know what I'm saying? And so that's good wisdom. And she does that in multiple ways, in multiple times, where it's like, babe, don't nobody take the trash out like you take the trash out. Ooh, babe, don't nobody cook like you cook. And I was like, yo, but in a sense of like, all men have an ego. I wouldn't necessarily consider it catering to my ego, because that's not necessarily an ego play. But it is more of like a wise, like, yo, my grandmother would say, like, you can catch more bees with honey than you can with vinegar. You know what I'm saying? I'm like, yo, she always got a honey approach in getting in incentivizing me to do certain domestic things. You know what I'm saying? And so it makes it a lot more acceptable as a man for me to be involved, as opposed to, you don't do this, well, you don't never do this, and you don't do this, and you know what I'm saying? And so, I mean, and I think secondarily for men, like, yo, we have to expand the scope of what we feel is our responsibility. You know what I'm saying? If I'm just like, yo, if it's solely my job to pay the bills, and then after that I can come home and have a beer and watch ESPN because I done my job, like, I am severely like limiting what God has created and called me to be in terms of the priest in my home, the chief influencer in my home, the chief prayer, even though she prays. She's a prayer warrior, so she prays. But just leading out, like, yo, whether it's cooking or this, that, and the third, and I think, you know, unfortunately, for various reasons, I think kind of maybe what men understand about what their role is a little bit more limited than it should be, maybe in some instances. Like I said, it's not a one size fits all, but I feel like we get along and we have gotten further in life by being more complimentary of each other's time and gifts and stuff like that.
Yeah, I appreciate that. So it's is it like a honey-do list with an extra amount of honey? Is that what it is, Steph?
It's a honey-do list with an extra amount of honey. It is. It is.
I wouldn't even consider it. I was gonna say
not necessarily a honey-do list.
Yeah, I was gonna say I don't think either one of us have a list.
Yeah. Well,
once again, it's like we know what's needed in this house. Mm-hmm. We both see the needs and we see the things. Like Steph said, like, there are moments where, like, I'll get up and take the trash out. By the time I come, like, we got a trash can where we take the little thing out. And by the time I come back in the house from taking it to the trash can, she done put a bag in there and put it back in there. Mm-hmm. And she doesn't thank me necessarily for taking the trash out, and I don't thank her necessarily for putting the bag in. Like, yo, we're out. It's like we are. Mm-hmm. I don't want to say we are operating in a way that, hey, the goal is.
I think they went out. They went out.
Still?
I'm here. Okay. Oh, there you go.
Oh, it went to sleep.
Maybe it timed out. Yeah, maybe your phone.
I don't know. I think, like I said, the goal is really just for us to operate, you know,
it's a sense of awareness,
in unity with each other.
Yeah, in unity. Yeah, absolutely.
I love that. And of course, I was just asking the question. I know how y'all operate because I've spent time with y'all. I've stayed at y'all home. It's a safe space. You guys have been a great example to me of friendship and love. You know, honestly, like, I know y'all are married, but I've seen y'all be friends more than anything, right?
Right.
So I know we've already gone an extended amount of time. I just want to ask a couple more questions.
Yeah.
Looking back over your relationship, what in your marriage, what are you two most proud of? I know you have the boys, you have Maya, but what are you two most proud about?
What are you most proud of? Our accomplishments together. our accomplishments together. And the steps we had to take to get there, like when we set our goals together, being honest and open about, our individual growth and development, and just really how that has kind of gotten us further in our life and our marriage together. One is buying a home. That was a great accomplishment. And what really needed to be done to get there. Having those honest conversations, like, hey, babe, this is a goal of ours. Like, how can we work together, to get there, to get to the end goal. So, yeah, that was a big accomplishment. Buying this house it was major, major. Like one of the last things that we needed on our list, our big things on our list that we wanted to accomplish, and we did it.
Yeah.
With God's help, we did it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I would say for me, our biggest accomplishment is honestly our individual and collective effort to keep God at the center of our marriage, at the center of our parenting. Um, there have been challenges, and we are on individual faith walks and journeys with the Lord, and so I think that for both of us individually to be pursuing God, pursuing a depth of relationship with Jesus, a depth of faithfulness, um, over stewarding our own lives, stewarding the children that God has given us, and then we both come together with that shared desire. We both like I am who I am in and out of her presence because I'm trying, like, I'm a son, and I want to be an honorable son. I want to be a vessel of choice, a vessel that's approved. I want to hear well done. I want God to see me as trustworthy. I know, and I've seen in my wife's life over the years that she is a daughter of God. She wants to be an honorable woman. She wants to be a woman of good reputation and good name, and who is modest and responsible and faithful and all those things, right? And then when we come together, it's like Voltron. And so to me, like, our biggest accomplishment in marriage is both of us kind of still having that individual desire and pursuit for the Lord. And then collectively, when we come together, we pray together regularly, daily. Um, we have family devotions, not as consistent as we used to, or as we should, or as we want to, but we get together as a family. We still try and eat dinner around the table, and talk with our children and play games, and we all obviously go to church together, and that's really the backdrop for everything else. All of the financial achievements, all of the material achievements, all of that stuff, which has been great, and God has been faithful and all of that stuff. But the thing that I'm most proud of, man, it's like, I do feel like, not perfectly, God knows we're not perfect, but that we do reflect a little bit of 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 what it means for Christ to be the groomsman and the church to be his bridesmaid. And this is like a small little, microcosm, a small little pixel of that in like his great picture. And so I'm most proud of that because it ain't none of this other stuff. Don't, even if we were able to accomplish all this stuff, it is less consequential than just pleasing God and wanting to be found faithful. So that's, to me, that's our biggest accomplishment.
Yeah, no.
Amen.
Go ahead, Steph. What'd
No,
you say?
I'm just saying, let the church say amen.
Yeah, I really love that, because what I hear both of you sharing is what you are most proud of, right? But at the same time, it's the same thing. It,
Yes.
on Lou's side, expressing the faith aspect of and how that's been the glue and how together that unity that comes from that, you saying like it allowed you to accomplish some tangible things, which is all about God's grace, right? But I also want to say this. This stands out to me. This is what was going through my head. Lou said, "It's not about." He said he mentioned the word like it's not being perfect, and
Mhm.
what stands out to me is that y'all aren't trying to strive forward based off perfection. Because I struggle with being like this perfectionism. I'm a perfect.
Yeah.
It's paralyzing, and God is
Yeah.
great. But this is about y'all. But what I was hearing was we're not where we are because of perfection. We are where we are because God is at the center of our lives as individuals, and that individual striving to please God keeps us glued together, and us being glued together pushes us forward, even when there's not perfect. Well, even though we're not perfect people. You see what I'm saying?
Right. Yeah.
Right.
100%. I mean, so I remember our 10-year anniversary. We were on a cruise, and we were in the hot tub, and we were just reflecting with each other, like, yo, 10 years of marriage. Like, what have you learned? What have you gotten? What have you, And Steph asked me that, and I remember vividly telling her exactly what you just said. Like, that was 3 years ago now, but like, yo, that our marriage isn't perfect, but it's good.
Mm.
And to me, and you know how you and I vibe, how
Mhm.
the conversation, like that's years ago, that would almost be an oxymoron. Well, it can't be good if it's not perfect.
Mm-hmm.
Because of how I'm built, the type of pressure I put on myself, because of my own brokenness and abandonment and need for validation. So I feel I have to be perfect to be approved and be loved and all those things. And God has constantly and is still massaging and trying to drill that into my heart that you are imperfect. You're going to fall short, and I still love you. And my love isn't contingent on your performance. And so, because that's how I treat me, that's how I treated our marriage for a long time.
Mhm. Mhm.
Our children aren't perfect. Why? Why don't you have straight A's? You know, my wife isn't perfect. Well, why didn't you say this or do this or da 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 da? Da? And for years, I want to say at least for a good 4 years, 5 years, I felt there was palpable like frustration with Steph
Mm-hmm.
in terms of like, well, I can't never meet your standards, and that's unfair to any human being.
Mhm.
And the Lord had to deal with me, and that it kind of goes back to which is like the individual pursuit, because I go to God about her, and God like, nah, bro, it's you. It's you, bro. Like it's you, bro. Unrealistic expect. I don't even expect from you what you expecting from her.
Mm.
You know what I'm saying? And so, it's really been the last probably like 4 years, maybe 3 years of our marriage that I have gotten free about this idea of perfectionism that has freed up, I think, my wife in some areas, my children in some areas.
Yeah.
And it's made our marriage that much more enjoyable, because the house not always gonna be clean. The kids ain't always gonna get straight A's. Dinner ain't always gonna be cooked. And when it is, it may be bad some days, whether regardless of who's cooking it. Probably her. Um, and but none of
I
that.
was the chef first.
You were the chef first. Now the student has become the teacher. But yes, I give you were the chef first. But like that, but there's still like overwhelming good,
Yeah.
even in light of the imperfection. Um, and so like that's been,
Freeing.
man,
Freeing.
Man,
Freeing.
freeing, bro.
Yeah, I hear it. It's really, it's like, it's almost like I could see from the focus on God when you know, when you first started going to the church, to Steph crossing your path and you crossing her path, and you know, not really having eyes set on each other. Then y'all eyes connect and you start pursuing her. Then there's these challenges, there's these ebbs and flows. Then you get married, and there's some more ebbs and flows. But what I'm hearing now is just a whole bunch of course, God, right, keeping y'all together as that glue, but just love and growth in this journey of, you know, marriage. And that's a beautiful, beautiful story, man. I love y'all's story. You know, I've been able to spend intimate time with y'all, so it's kind of like this is really for them to hear. But man, y'all are just wonderful people as individuals that got married. You know, and I'm
Thank you, bro.
grateful that the world gets to hear your story. It's so much more to you all than even this little bit that you've been able to share today. And I want to get you and Steph back on again, and then I also get you on, bro, because you know we got a strong bond, and I want to know
Yeah.
your story because there's a lot to your story. But man, you know, I want to leave out on. I know it's about hope, so I want y'all to just give the people something to be hopeful about when it comes to relationships and marriage, and then we'll just close out.
Um, One of the things that I could say is like commitment. Um, Communication is key and vital in a marriage and in a relationship. Um, and just really remember your commitment to one another, because in this world and in this culture, a lot of times people see it as based off of feelings, but it's a covenant that is made before God. Marriage is a covenant, and there may be some days that we're not likable to one another, you know, and you know, life evolves. We get bigger, we get smaller, you know, we have kids, you know. But one thing, rest for sure, like it's a daily decision to respect, a daily decision to serve, a daily decision to love, um, and serve God together. And I think that's what brings us kind of back to, you know, kind of a foundation, a stronger foundation. So, um, you know, commitment, because that communication is definitely key. Definitely key.
Mhm. That's good.
Yeah.
That's good. What I would say as it relates to hope in relationships, they're I don't know. I don't want to be prisoner of the moment and prisoner of the times. And so maybe this has existed long before it hit my radar, but like there a lot of antagonism between men and women in the culture in terms of like what roles should be, what expectations should be, who should rightfully be paired with who based on the value that one person brings versus another and stuff like that. And to me, that what I see that there's a lot of animosity between men and women in this day and age, um, and so through the lens of hope to kind of speak to that in particular, I would say that like yo, there is hope for good, healthy relationships.
Yes.
You know, good, healthy relationships take work, take endurance,
Yeah.
take communication, take forgiveness,
Ah, that's good.
take long suffering, take patience, take a benefit of the doubt,
Mm,
take selflessness. It takes the need to not want to be right, even if
so
you
good.
are right.
So good.
It takes humility. It takes a lot. It takes all these things. But the hope of it and the good part of it is that, like on the other side of all of that work, is safety, community, partnership,
Yes.
friendship, love, understanding, a sense of belonging, a sense of stability, you know, and those are all things that we all, that the world at large, men and women, like as it relates to relationships, should have hope for, because that is in a relational context, in a marital context, that is what God has designed that union for.
Mm-hmm.
And so, you know, my, I guess, word of encouragement is like, yo, don't give up hope about whoever, like opposite sex, and you know what the chances are that you'll find someone who is willing to put that work in with you. Just be about the business of being the person that's putting in the work for themselves, and hoping God, trusting God that He's going to bring the other person who's also doing the same work for themselves. And then when you two come together, it's both fine. And so, you know, even with all the, you know, kind of combative energy between men and women nowadays, there still is legitimate hope for loving relationships, relationships where you know, you and an individual can get together and build something, create legacy, you know, not perfect, but to be able to, you know, have something that's meaningful and that is purposeful and that gives a life, you know, to our existence. And so that would be my encouragement for individuals who are single, who are dating, who want to be married. You know, have hope that the work that you're putting in on yourself is worthwhile and will pay off in a relational sense. And even if it doesn't, singleness isn't a curse, and you're a better human, you're a better person for putting in that work, because you still gonna need to be patient and long suffering and forgiving at your 9 to 5 job. So it's like, you know, so it's not like those attributes will be of no use if you don't get married. You still gonna need that, you know what I'm saying, in this world. And so
Yeah, I appreciate both of y'all sharing that. I appreciate y'all coming and being our featured guest for the month of love. And again, thanks. And, we look forward to, you know, another time to do this. But in the meantime, you know, like I always say, no matter what you experienced in the past, what you may be going through currently, or maybe face in the future, always remember there's hope. Let the people know there's hope, Lou and Steph.
there is hope for you, for everyone.
There is hope.
Rich,
All right.
thank you, bro, for having
Thank
us
y'all.
on. We
Thank
we
you.
so like just appreciate being on your platform and what you're doing. And it's such a, you know, such a needed reminder that there is hope. And so we appreciate you, man, just for having us on today.
Thank you so much. Appreciate you. We love you, bro.
Leo too.
Yes.
All right.